Hello all, as you can see the rigid pavement over here. Why this expansion joints are required? The first question arises. As we all know that concrete is a rigid material in nature with low flexible strength made up of inorganic binding cement, sand, gravel and water. Concrete always changes its plane due to the atmospheric condition. Carbonation may take place and the overall effect may be contraction because of the drying and shrinkage. Expansion and contraction may occur due to the change in the cyclic effects or change in the environmental conditions like humidity, temperature and extra load on the cracking. Joints are provided in the concrete to prevent development of the extra stresses in the concrete structure which lead to expansion and contraction due to the moisture content or moisture changes, temperature variation, etc. or load and vibrations too. If the contraction movement, both permanent and the transient of the concrete units are more than, it leads to the cracking. Sealant accommodates such movements in the concrete within the loss of integrity in the concrete structures. Now the question arises, why this joint sealing is needed? This is the best option. Considering the possibility of the expansion and the contraction, the sealing the joint is preferable. The purpose of this joint sealing is to minimize the infiltration of the surface runoff water and incompressible material into the joint system. Sealants also reduces the double bar corrosion potential by reducing entries of the de-icing chemicals. A sealant is a viscous material that changes state to become rubber-like compound once applied. Desirable properties of the sealant includes insolubility, corrosion resistance and adhesion too. How to design the joints and the type of the joints, factors considering the design joints, movement calculation, joint depth consideration, types of the sealants. The details of this content is attached or refer IRC 57/2006. Firstly, we are taking the epoxy resins. This is a base for us and the hardener is to be added. How does this epoxy resin and the epoxy hardener is to be added? Because if not, then the resin remains nearly liquid identity and could not transfer into a durable flooring system. So the hardener is must and should. Now in this diagram you can see it is with so and so kg of the resin. To this resin 520 gram of the hardener is to be added. As this epoxy resin is with the white in color and the epoxy hardener is with the black in color, we have to mix it well, stir it well. Okay, how this stirrer is to be done, again you can see with the right corner. How it works, for detailed explanation, link is also attached over here. Both the epoxy resin and the epoxy hardener, the chemical reactions taking place is explained in this link below. Nextly, we will be going with the primer, addition of the primer. Why this primer are used? Because the primer acts as a corrosion inhibitor. Once we use this 10 mm or 12 mm foam in this groove, later on the primer has to be coated. Once we pour this primer, later on the action starts of epoxy resin and the hardener paste. This is how we are working on the expansion joints known by filling the sealants. Thank you.